Thank you, Kevin. And it turns out that fast food really is the leading cause of obesity in America. Anyways, in other news, Israel's standard of living is at an all-time high and constantly improving. Just last year, Israel was ranked 17 out of 194, I repeat, 194 nations by the Human Development Index, and has the 47th highest standard of living in the world. The per capita GDP of Israel is $32,200 for a population of 7,590,758 people. Israel is ranked number 30 out of 196 countries by the CIA World Factbook, and compared to America, which has $48,900 in per capita GDP, and ranked number 9 in the CIA World Factbook for a population of 313,914,040. Israel boasts a whopping literacy rate of 97.1% and has a relatively low infant mortality rate of 4 babies out of 1,000 babies, which is approximately 0.4%, and citizens enjoy a long happy life, with a life expectancy of 80 years. The unemployment rate of our beloved ally Israel is 6.3%, lower than America's 7.7%. The relatively low unemployment rate in Israel is what tremendously helps in the development of the country and its economy. For teenagers, the unemployment rate is 14.7%, giving kids plenty of leisure time. Overall, Israel's labor force of 3,269,000 stands strong. However, although Israel may seem like a utopia, everything is not unicorns and rainbows. 20.5% of families in Israel live under the poverty threshold. Teenagers are notorious for drug abuse in Israeli society. In 2007, 10% of the Israeli youths used drugs, and 70% of teenage criminal activity carried out by teens were under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Israel is a major destination for human trafficking, being once rated the highest by the UN. Many men and women are subjected to forced labor and prostitution because, unlike America, prostitution is legal. The sex trade generates $2 billion for Israel every year, so ladies, be careful. Last but not least, Israel is infamous for its conflict with Palestine. Palestinians and Israelis have had friction between them since the 20th century, caused by the taking of Palestine by the Jews after World War II. Violence is prevalent between both factions, and there are many disputes between the two groups over occupation of land, and most importantly, Jerusalem and the blockade in Gaza. Palestinians had their home taken from them and only have the West Bank to occupy. Many peace attempts have been tried, but these two factions have not reached agreement yet. Now that you have formed your own opinion about Israel, is it anything like Liberia? My co-host Kevin will be with you after the break to explain.
Sugar, what?
Hi, welcome back. Now, Israel may seem like a good place to live and all, with a good standard of living, but how does it compare to Liberia? Liberia's per capita GDP is $700 for its population of just under 4 million people. Liberians have a significantly low standard of living compared to Israel. For example, the people of Liberia are dressed in second-hand clothing, wash their clothing in the nearby rivers, and they live in slums. Liberians suffer from a low literacy rate of 60.8%, an unemployment rate of 85%, and a labor force the size of 1,372,000, and all of this contributes to their low standard of living. Because of Liberia's high unemployment rate, people live in desperation trying to feed their families. These families aren't your average 4 or 5 people per household, but actually 10 plus, some even 50. Liberia has an extended family issue, and if the head breadwinner of the household loses their job, the family is significant. Another major issue is that nearly all commerce in Liberia is controlled by the Lebanese. They are known to inflate their prices so they can make money off the people's backs. Although Israel may seem bad at times, just remember, it isn't as bad as Liberia. I hope you viewers out there watching this learn not to take your life for granted because it can always be much worse.